Amanda was the least consistent batter on our team. She either hit moonshots or struck out, the latter being more often the case when the pressure was on. But I couldn't say any of that, not if I wanted to play at all the next game. He was in my face again. You think Selena would have pulled a stunt like that? No, because Selena listened to her coach. My eyes stung at the mention of my sister, whose gaze I could feel from the stands. Every time I messed up, he compared her to me. I rotated my jaw and looked at my cleats. Selena had led her team to the state championships as a senior 2 years ago, something I was determined to do my junior year. And I couldn't do that by risking wins with unreliable players. Why was I the only one who saw that? I was trying to win, I repeated, half through my teeth. Yeah, all by yourself. He thrust my discarded bat into my hands and went to join the rest of our pissed-off team as they lined up to congratulate the Highland Hawks on their win. After the less than sincere, at least on my part, congratulations were given, and I'd sat through our coach's spiel about how well we'd played, not well enough, or I wouldn't have had to try to save the game, and how we won and lost as a united team, I ducked out before anyone else could yell at me, and headed around to the bleachers. Hey, slugger. My scowl evaporated at the sound of Nick's voice, and became a smile when I turned to see the hulking Samoan guy who'd been one of my closest friends since junior high. Since then, he'd grown a lot bigger, a lot cuter, and, frustratingly for me, a lot more shy, too. It had gotten so much worse since we got partnered together in biology that semester. I thought he was developing more than friendly feelings for me, but with Nick it was hard to tell, which made it really hard to tell if I was developing any feelings of my own. Still, he'd come to my game, so maybe he was trying to be bolder. He even spoke to me first, though I could tell he was regretting his choice of the word slugger based on the way he lowered and shook his head. I should have just said Dana. Nah, slugger's a classic. So, the first game you got to see this year ended with me losing. Awesome. I thought you were great. Thanks, I said, not really meaning it. I didn't see you. I had to come late, so I only caught the last inning. Even better, I said. He smiled, ducking his head a little. It was only the first game, right? Said like a guy who doesn't play sports. I stopped walking when Nick slowed. Then I mentally shook myself in an attempt to beat back my venomous mood. Sorry. I'm the worst loser on the planet. I also wasn't looking forward to the car ride home with my endlessly disappointed dad and the shining sibling I'd never live up to. At least Selena would have to head back to her dorm eventually. Dad could berate me all night if he wanted. Nick recovered from my semi-insult and kicked his foot to dislodge a cricket that had landed on his shoe. It was mid-March in Arizona, which, in addition to being the start of softball season, meant the weather was losing its cold bite. That was all the invitation the crickets needed. They weren't at summer-level swarming yet, but the chirping was an ever-present sound outside, and it was already hard to avoid the little hopping bodies, try as Nick might. Aren't you going to ask why I was late? He asked. I hadn't known he was coming at all. I told him in class that I was playing, but that was all. Everything okay? Did something happen with your grandmother? Nick's newly widowed grandmother had recently moved in and was still grieving deeply. She's actually doing a little better. Oh, good. I squeezed his forearm, and he half jumped like I'd touched him with an iron. Yeah, so that's not why. Nick slid the backpack from his shoulder and unzipped it for me to see inside. No way. I grabbed the sides of the bag and stepped right up to him. Why didn't you text me? I looked up when Nick didn't answer and found him staring at me. I thought it'd be worth it to see your face. He swallowed. And it was. Nick's skin was as rich a brown as my glove, but I